welcome, Alex Crockford. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into your mindset because you're one of those. How do you describe yourself as a fitness influencer, fitness guru? There's so many different sort of things that you do:
Yeah,
model, actor. How do you describe yourself?
it's very difficult to put a label on it. I sometimes
Yeah.
just change it depending on the context of who I'm meeting or what I'm saying, or just create a list like you just did. It might be fitness trainer, influencer, content creator, actor, model, fitness app creator, all these kind of things. So yeah, it's expanded over time as I've added more things onto my list, but I don't like to be pigeonholed into one of them.
Okay. No, I get that. I get that. And do you ever see yourself as an entrepreneur? Do you see ever label yourself in that sort of direction because the amount of things that you get involved in?
Yeah, I do sometimes, and I would say that I'm pretty entrepreneurial, especially the path that I've taken, but also in my day-to-day job and work that I have to do with my fitness app is very entrepreneurial in the kind of tasks and the movements that I'm making in business. So I don't often add it to the list, but I would say that it's a part of what I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to dive into a little bit of who you are. I mean, you've got a phenomenally successful app. I mean, you're everywhere on social media with what you're promoting, what you're doing, inspiring people to get fit and healthy. So, how did this all start for you? Where, how have you gone from, where you were to where you are now?
Well, I wish I could tell you it was an overnight success along the way somewhere, or this massive moment that kicked things off. But as you may know, I'm Mr. Consistency and building block by block and stepping stone by stepping stone. And it all started from being a personal trainer. I qualified as a PT. I went straight into busy personal trainer life with lots of clients. And over a few years, I knew that my goals and my mission and purpose was bigger and bigger and bigger. And whilst I was loving my PT job, I felt a real strong calling for bigger goals elsewhere. That led me to social media. It led me to creating products online that could reach more and more people and reaching more people. And gradually, that enabled me to reduce my personal training time whilst I was loving it. I knew that I wanted to
Mm.
free up my time to dedicate in other places. And over many years, that enabled me to create my online business, my app, um, uh, modeling opportunities in London and around the world for magazines or brands, influencer brand work and working with companies that I've always wanted to work with. And then ultimately, really dedicate time to create the content that I want to create to share my creative um, passions out into the world and help people. And of course, the app which enables me to help an unlimited, scalable amount of people rather than just the one to one. And that's where I am today.
Yeah. So that's so. What's driving you? What is this mission you've got, Mr. Crockford, to help as many people as possible with your fitness? What's driving this? Do you think? What's behind the hood?
Yeah. I think that mission has expanded over time as well. It got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it probably was a handful of years ago was to help as many people get fit and healthy. Um, but as my journey has expanded into mindset, mental health, spirituality, the planet, and more cosmic universal thoughts for myself, that has kind of expanded my personal mission here as well, realizing and understanding that health and fitness is integral to my message. And I see it as a great gateway into many parts of improving one's life. Um, but I see it as a part of something bigger, which is your overall well-being, your overall wellness, which
Mm.
really helps not only yourself, but your relationships, your interactions with others, and the planet as a whole. Because if everybody is a better person and has a better relationship with themselves and others, then what kind of world would we live in? And what kind of, how would we treat the animals on this
Mm.
planet? How would we treat the planet and nature? How would we treat other nations and other people? And that's why I think what I do every day, um, in all the different aspects of my work, has to fall under this bigger purpose and this bigger mission.
I love that. I love that. And I agree with you. I think if we're really struggling to look after ourselves and we're low in energy and we're struggling with health, then how can we help other people? How can we care about other people? It becomes much harder, doesn't it? I've always been similar to you.
Yes,
It's, if everyone's in a good place, if we get help people get into a good place, then we have room and space and energy for our community, family,
yeah.
the planet around us. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I really do
what
think
do you think?
it's first and foremost to focus on yourself. It's very difficult to support others around you if you're not
Mm.
supporting yourself. It's the classic quote of filling your cup so you can pour pour for others, or something like that. And it's really true, because inevitably you'll be giving your energy away, which, if you're not tapped into an infinite source of energy for yourself, then you'll end up going to drain yourself and not be very good for the people around you. So work on yourself, your health, your fitness, your well-being, your mental health, and you become a fantastic source of inspiration, strength, and courage for the people around you.
I think that's beautifully said. But it's all of those things sound wonderful, and I talk about them regularly, on this podcast. But why do you think, in your view, people struggle so much when it comes to looking after themselves?
The society that we've created is teaching us to prioritize so many of the wrong things that we forget so many of
Mm.
the simple things that we can do each day to connect us back to what's important and connect us back to ourselves. And it's very, very easy, even for someone like me who knows what to do, to fall into the traps and fall into the routines that don't serve me. Um, and I think overcomplication, confusion, and the internet and the ability to have so much information can deter people
Mm.
from really knowing what to do. It's very complicated and confusing, and so much of my message is bringing back the simplicity of the things that can really serve you, and that is simple
Mm.
things like healthy food, moving your body, being out in nature, taking time to go inwards into yourself through meditation or quiet time, being creative in whatever that might be, dancing and singing and painting, writing, drawing. These simple things, having good conversations with your community or relationships, these are very simple, no brainer things that people can do, but it's very easy to neglect them. And you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to uh, um, get this quick magic pill to fix anything. So society isn't generally telling us to do these things. I think that's one of the core reasons why people struggle. What do you think?
Yeah, I no, I just listening to it. These are things that people often think. Yeah, I know I should do these. I know that I should eat healthier. I know that I should go onto the Crockford app and do the latest workout from Alex. But I think what often comes into it, and I was talking to a client last week, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do all these amazing things," and I was like, "It's way too much. It simply is way too much." They're like, "No, no, no, I'm going to do them." And what they were relying on is pure willpower to do all of these amazing things. And if they did them, it'd be phenomenal. They would experience a huge difference. But what they were relying on is this, they think, it's like willpower is this muscle that will always be there, switched on just because they want it to be there now. And already we're having a conversation as to why it isn't happening the way they wanted it to. So it's been a great experiment for them. But a lot of people rely on willpower alone with no system or structure to support them when willpower dips. And you mentioned something quite interesting actually.
Yes.
It's, it's for you, if you didn't have your structure in place, or if you didn't have a system in place, you would drift.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I do notice times when I drift or I go through a phase where I've neglected something, and it requires that self-awareness and um,
Mm,
the I don't know what the right word is to yeah, just look at yourself honestly, to self-reflect and be honest with yourself about what you could be doing, what have you let slip. And yes, this discipline of the muscle of motivation and push is only going to take people so far, especially when there's a huge list of things that they wanted to do that's going to overwhelm them. And
mm,
I'm a real core believer and preacher of exactly what you just said. And that is the habits and the rituals is really what builds the long-term success in this journey. And often if we have a huge list of things that we want to achieve, it's going to become overwhelming as soon as that motivation and that muscle to push through declines and life gets too much. Those things go out the window. And often that creates a bit of a negative spiral, a negative mindset of I
mm,
failed or I couldn't achieve those things. And then you throw everything out and then you go back to old habits. But another option is to just really simplify, really minimize the goals and be like, I know I'm excited. I know I'm super motivated. I know it's early January and I want to achieve all these things, but let's just focus on two habits that I want to easily build, something that's realistic. The classic kind of SMART goals, even though many people don't really believe in them. But think, is it specific? Is it
mm,
measurable? Is it achievable? Does it excite me? Is it small but still a slight challenge? A couple of
yeah.
those, it might be getting enough sleep this week. It might be eating healthy. It might be 10K steps. It might be 5-minute meditation. Not all of those things, just a couple of those things. Because once they're achieved, then it creates a positive spiral, not a negative spiral. Because then in 2 weeks and 3 weeks, wow, I did that. That's now a habit. That's now a part of my lifestyle, and it hasn't disrupted all these other things in my life. Now, what else can I add into the mix? And if people took this mindset on a little bit more, the long-term shifts are really quite astounding compared to the yo-yo effect of trying lots of things, failing, and going back. Oh, and now I'm motivated to try lots of things
Mm.
again, and it's a bad spiral to be caught up in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it is correct. There's just two little things. Two, if you keep it really small, keep it, and that begins to build up the experience of success, and that you do stick to your word. People don't trust themselves these days. They know that they'll make a promise, and then before long, their mind is already convincing them not to bother. So, and then therefore we've got this loop
Yes.
of, well, I'm just going to fail anyway, and I'm not that good a person. I've got low willpower. When willpower
Yeah.
isn't to be relied on. Keep it simple. Keep it smart.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
sometimes just having that really small thing, and they think that's small, I can easily do that, is somewhere just that needs to be started to gain that confidence back, like you said.
hmm. Let's let a little dive into. Um, you have obviously you're all over the internet, and it's fantastic to see what you're doing. But there's a lot of competition from other influencers and other people out there. What I ask you a question: what drives you mad? Do you think? What do you see other influencers promoting that with your experience it's probably a myth, or way out of date, or something simply not true?
I try not to get too frustrated about what others are doing. Like, this might
Mm,
seem like a bit of a cop-out idea for the question, that you've asked, and if something pops into my head, I'll certainly say.
Okay.
um, but I'm realizing that everybody has a certain part to play in helping people at different stages of where they are. So I might
Hmm.
look at somebody who's purely promoting something very niche, maybe like a type of diet which is just not helping many people. I might think, well, that might help a certain type of person move from here to here, but when that person gets here, their mind expands to take on a new level of understanding. So yeah, I mean, on the diet front, I do see people like over promoting certain over restrictive diets and being very forceful into one one diet methodology and stuff. So this does get on my nerves a little bit. Um, or maybe these days I've been vegan vegetarian for like a substantial amount of time now, 1 or 2 years. So when I see people um, like strong, like I'm not judging anybody, but if I see people really
Hmm.
judging on a vegan diet and saying that you can't get results with your health and fitness from not eating meat, for example, this myth tends to frustrate me a little bit because for a lot of people who are attaching their spiritual journey or environmental beliefs to their health and fitness ones, they want to know that they can achieve goals as well. So over um, complicating the the information by people saying these things is frustrating, knowing that people are going to be hearing it.
So what, you obviously get a lot of people come to you and want to get fit and want to get healthy. What mistakes do you think most people make when it comes to their fitness and their health?
I think some of the biggest mistakes people make are seeing all the different methods and ways to get fit by different trainers, different influencers, different methods, and thinking that um, they have to do something that they either don't enjoy or that doesn't fit them. But now there are so many ways, and always have been so many ways, in order to get fit and healthy in a way that suits your preference, your enjoyment, your lifestyle. So if you see somebody promoting that you can only get in good shape by going to the gym and lifting weights in this method, it's not necessarily true. Every, of course, type of method of training has some different kinds of benefits and abilities to push you. But if you hate the gym or you've never got
Mm.
on well with it, then that doesn't mean you can't be fit and healthy. There's other ways that can do it as long as you find a way to create some kind of plan, some kind of structure, some kind of method around it. Then you can get the results that you want. And that might involve sports or running or body weight training or some other really kind of niche thing you like pole dance fitness or ice skating or something. And and this is like really critical as well, because
Mm.
if you don't enjoy what you've put in place, then you're not going to gain that consistency. You've got to be excited for your next workout, your next activity. And if it's actually you're dreading it and you don't want to do it, then there's only so long until that willpower that we
Mm.
spoke about starts to decrease, things get difficult, and then you stop with the consistency and you don't get the results. So long-term results come from enjoyment of finding the way. I'd say that being fit and healthy is the top of the mountain, and there's
Yeah,
an infinite amount of routes up that mountain.
I think that's a great analogy. Great analogy. Um, but when it comes to people diving into your app, for example, what would they what would they be getting? What would they expect if they were to look at the Crockfit app and have a go at working out with Mr. Crockford himself?
Inside my app, there's home training, gym training, stretches, follow along workouts with me. So I'm guiding them through these. workouts to help them with alternatives, making things harder, easier, feeling fully supported and guided. There's nutrition guide with recipes and a whole kind of informational pack to really get the most out of the results. There is a worldwide community of thousands of people who are sharing their updates and posts on this journey, and it's the most supportive group of people. It's really so proud and grateful that they are so
Mm.
supportive, and anybody comes into the group realizes that wow, I feel connected, I feel supported, I feel like I'm heard and listened to, and I don't feel out of place. And I really love helping those people that maybe struggle with a bit of confidence or have failed lots of times in the past and need a bit of picking up and building of confidence. Not only that in the app, but there's a yoga plan launching as well. I'm going to be bringing
Wow.
in breath work and meditation to really expand the app outside of getting those six-pack abs and biceps, but really helping people find that 360 holistic well-being approach. And as my experience has expanded in life, I want my service and my app to reflect that as well.
Lovely. You're not going to do pole dancing then, Alex?
Well, I'll get my qualification soon, and that's going to go viral, I'm sure.
I think that would, yeah, that would set the world on fire a little bit. Okay, so you mentioned that there's going to be meditation and there's going to be, the spiritual side of things. Sounds like you're bringing that into your app. And I saw on your social media recently that you're kind of on a spiritual journey, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about that with you because it's nice to obviously everyone gets to see how you're presented. With your fitness. But we don't really know too much about what is going on with Alex himself. So, where's a spiritual journey come from? What's been happening for you?
Well, I like to sprinkle these elements onto social media when I can, bit by bit. Sometimes the more I don't know, crazy stuff gets lost or not seen or heard appropriately. Maybe by the right people it does. So I tend to
Hmm.
be conscious of what I share sometimes. But what's been happening with me, I guess, is just this gradual expansion over time, really. Even many, many years ago, I was deeply fascinated and interested in mindset as a whole with fitness, and it's
Hmm.
always been a huge part of my teaching and understanding, even with clients when I was a personal trainer, especially as I continued into social media, continued to talk about um, mindset and mental health and these elements. Um, Partnered that with behind the scenes my interest in all things like space, stars, the cosmos, uh, the ancient civilizations, UFOs, aliens, all of these elements. There was a deep calling within me um, to learn more about this and just really be a truth seeker.
Hmm.
Like I am deeply interested in understanding the universe, the world, and finding out the
Okay.
truth. And this took me down many, many rabbit holes of, through the conspiracies and out the other side. and
Okay.
and some maybe I've stuck in a bit too long, but it's all part of maybe trying to understand more. And
Hmm.
with this truth seeking of the universe, I started to experience more about our consciousness and what else there might be outside of who I am and who we are in a physical sense, but what else there is in a spiritual sense or a consciousness sense. Who am I before and after this life? Who am I? I've seen some of your posts talking about who are you before you ask or think, who am I? What is
Hmm.
there residing beneath or after or before this? All of these kind of
Yeah, yeah,
questions I've experienced and spent time
yeah.
on, and I think they're very important questions. And this has has really interested me, and I've had some magical experiences in meditation, in life experiences, in psychedelic experiences. And once you have these experiences, you can't go back to normal life. You can't see the the things going on in the news and around you, and and you just expanded so much. You see how small
Mm.
these things are, and realize that all there is love. All there is this deep connection to the universe. And yeah, that kind of sums it up. And once you know these things,
Yeah, no, it's a difficult thing to, it's funny. I'm glad you looked at that video. There's been hundreds and hundreds of people just trying to answer. I said quite craftily to see, because I knew that it would go, good people into having a go with the question. I think it's an important question, but who am I before thought tries to tell me who I am? What did you experience with that, by the way? What was your response?
well, I've done similar things in meditations
Mm,
where space builds between yourself and your thoughts, and in those
mm,
spaces, and in the question you asked, is a sense of oneness with the universe, God, creation,
yeah.
this slight disconnection from my thoughts. It felt like I am not my thought. It felt like the
Mm.
thoughts are coming and going, and it's up to me to attach myself to them.
I,
But who am
I
I
think that's
before me
perfectly
thinking
described.
about that?
Yeah, yeah. Your mind will want to
Thank
jump
you.
in with, but that's that's beautifully described. And that's in a way that question. It's from, if you ever looked into Adyashanti's work.
No, not too much.
That's where I found the actual question. Oh, I think you'd really like it. It's
Right.
he
Yeah.
focuses on spiritual awakening, and
Yeah.
that question, in a way, is a glimpse of who you really are before your mind does all the distraction and noise and identification.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
and this is happening all day, every day in people's minds, and is why
mm,
I love to help guide people to meditation or to these
mm,
moments of breath work or moments of going inside, because I think it's really important. Because if you can sense that slight space between you and your thoughts, you have this gift and this tool throughout your day to be less reactionary to all these things happening to you. You have composure and confidence in yourself to act from this place of being grounded and supported,
mm.
and then make a good decision, a good comment, a good question, rather than just reacting through life from what you see on the internet to getting overwhelmed in a situation, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot to pull us in, and I describe it as it feels like gravity. You can be awake and you can be very connected and you can feel like you're one, but there's a sense of the mind trying to pull you back in with its stories. And that's nothing wrong with that. The stories that we get drawn into are often the things that we could begin to work on just to let them go and become a little bit lighter. You mentioned that you've had some experiences during meditation, and it sounds like it was psilocybin. So, what? Tell me about that. What happened for you?
Yeah, lots of experiences recently just with meditation
Mm,
and no psychedelics,
mm,
but quite a few years ago, I've had a few amazing experiences, um, and of course in safe, respectful ways and environments. And yeah, just wow, the experiences that your consciousness goes through,
mm,
from simply the visuals, whether that's an eyes open visuals with your interaction with the world, or in a closed eye visual from the lights, the patterns, the geometry, um, the relationship with time and thoughts, and the self-reflection that happens, and the
mm,
depths that you go into like never before. Coming out of experiences like this is life changing, and it has truly transformed my journey in spirituality and in life as a whole once I've been through some of these experiences.
I think that's yeah, that sounds incredibly powerful. I've done similar things, and it does change the way that you see yourself and the way that you experience your reality. And I guess it adds another dimension to
Yeah.
what you're doing with your work, I guess.
Yeah, totally. It's I think it's helped bring the bigger picture of my work to the forefront of what I do, and has helped me realize that fitness,
Mm,
although is very important and I love it, it is part of this bigger picture and this bigger message. And most people don't care
mm,
just about being in shape and looking good, although most people want that. What's more important than that? And it's helped me realize this greater importance of bringing joy and love to the world and elevating the frequency and the consciousness of this planet for our
mm,
evolution, for our humanity. So I feel that's quite a big mission, a big purpose, and a big thing to work towards. And we all have our different, we're all playing a different part in that game. Um,
mm,
and whatever our own individual desires and passions and gifts are, we need to fully play into that. Like a puzzle isn't a thousand pieces of the same piece. The perfect picture comes from from completely
mm.
unique, separate pieces. Um, so whatever your calling is, you got to go all in on it.
What would you advise to someone who doesn't know what their calling is?
Yeah, there's lots of that for sure. I think because so much of what we do in our world is like find your purpose and and live your dreams. And it's like, what is
Yeah,
my purpose? What do I want to
yeah.
do? Um, I think the most important thing is to do more of what you love, to do more of the
Mm,
thing that you would want to do every day if you could do it every day. What do you love? And before the questions come in of like, how do I earn enough money doing that? Or how can I get a job doing that? Just take the fearful questions away. And yes, you've got to do a job, and there's things don't happen overnight. But the simple act of putting more energy and more time into things that you love without the fear and without the questions and without the ego,
mm.
your life might start to create some synchronicities, some things. And it's a law that if you put more energy and time into something, it will bring back something of its same nature, of its same kind. And I've seen this play out multiple times in my life. So that would be my tip.
I think that's a great tip. That's a great tip. When it comes to with the fitness and with your spiritual side of things, let's combine it in one thing. What do you think has been your biggest struggle mindset wise? What's been your biggest challenge, do you think?
Two things come to mind, and the first one is being able to maybe let go of some of the things that have got me here, because what has got me here might not get me to where I need to go. And
Hmm.
having the ability to reflect on some things in my business, some things in my personal fitness, is about managing others, offloading some of my jobs, my tasks, my ability to grow and expand as a businessman and as an
Mm,
entrepreneur, and delegating. So this is a real challenge for me, and I'm going through it now and have been multiple times, and the patterns keep re-emerging, but I feel
mhm,
like I'm breaking the pattern and finding ways to step into a new identity and a new position for myself. And sometimes it is about stepping into a new identity and being grateful for the identity you've created and where I've got to now and all the things that's led me to here.
yeah.
But being able to break that down and create a new paradigm is about continuous recreation of yourself. And I feel like that's what life is about, and that's how you can break plateaus in your fitness, life, business,
Mm.
relationships, all these things. So that's one challenge which I'm having at the moment. And another kind of connected one to that is I've got many goals and many dreams, and I see many people just go after one thing and do well at doing it. Let's say the fitness industry, and my friends and competitors with fitness apps or YouTube channels. I know everybody's lives are busy and chaotic, but it seems like professionally they're going after one thing. But I've been
Mm.
given these dreams of being an actor and doing this and doing these other things. And for many years, I just pushed these things aside because I'm focused on one thing. So the challenge has occurred that I need to prioritize many things at once. And how do I do that when a part of my mindset is, God, if only you just focused on one thing, you could make that
Mm.
flying huge success now. So a part of me is like having to dismantle a belief of society, or what I have is that you can't be a success at multiple things at once. So I'm having
Okay.
to not only I have the challenge of of literally doing all these different things and structuring my life, my day, my business to do different things, but also create a belief that it's possible as well.
That is quite a challenge because the advice does seem to say, my mentor, Ben Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he did the book Who Not How, which is a great book to read if you're an entrepreneur about why you should pass things on to other people, not how to do these things all yourself. Um,
Thank you. I will read that for sure.
yeah, yeah, it's a really good book. But he also talks about if you have more than three priorities, you have none. So again, it's a belief, isn't it? So I could just be blindly accepting that, and you're saying, "Well, hang on a sec, we should challenge that." And what if I can be really good at multiple things rather than just focusing at one thing? How many things are we talking about?
Wow. It is a interesting topic for sure.
Hmm.
And maybe it's hard to define how many things and what he means by three, because of course you can't have 10 priorities in the day, but maybe going through periods of prioritizing certain things.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't have a day that has 10 major priorities, and there may be some days that I would prioritize one aspect of my life and another day that prioritizes another, but simply having that kind of sprayed attention and focus, I feel has the potential for me to lack the momentum required or the energy in
Hmm.
one thing if it was just entirely one thing. So I am conscious of not being sprayed too thin or too wide.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, it does feel like sometimes I have like three full-time jobs.
I can imagine it does with the bad things you're doing. Do you think that might be, as a question, is that a way of self-sabotaging your future if you can't if you can't get around to doing all of these things, then it still remains sort of a jack of all trades but master of none. Even though obviously you've reached a brilliant level of success, but I'm wondering, could that be possible? Is there a part of you that's spreading too thinly, so that you get to avoid maybe another level of success, the next step for you?
Yeah, it has entered my mind, and I have had this thought of
Mm.
what if I focus my attention on all these things and none of them end up being the big success that I'm working towards. But I felt it was a bigger self-sabotage to leave deep callings on the table and to be a 100-year-old on my deathbed with a what if. That felt like a
Yeah.
way bigger risk than trying and and failing or knowing versus never trying and never finding out the result. That felt way worse to me, and I felt that for many
Mm.
years by not taking action on my dreams. So although I have a fear of never making it as big as I want in certain areas, my confidence and vision outweighs to break through in all of the ways.
Yeah, what changed in you, do you think? What changed for you to suddenly take your dreams seriously like this? You know, because you had them and obviously still successful, but there are these dreams that kind of were gathering dust. What changed, do you think, for you to go, hang on, right, okay, I'm going to take these seriously now? Because I know that you've been doing acting and you've got a variety of
Yeah.
things coming along with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
what made the switch?
Realizing year upon year that nobody's going to do it for me, and another year would go by. It's like,
Mm.
oh, it doesn't happen unless you make this happen, Alex. And then another year goes by. It's like, still not taking action on that thing. And so year upon year that happens. And I think in your 20s, it's like it's go, go, go time. You're just like, for me, it was like I had my fitness career and I was making it a success and I was fully in. And any time outside of that felt like it was almost wasted because I'm building momentum here. But I guess turning
Mm.
30 or my 30 coming up was like a you are letting time slip away. It's time to take action. So it was really just time gathering, my own realizations that nobody else is going to do this for you apart from you. And yeah, like I said before, I had more fear about lack of action than, in fact, I had full confidence that whatever I do fully, I can make a success because I'd felt it and seen it multiple times in my career so far. By having a vision, going after it, and going all in, I could make anything a success. I just have to do it.
Yeah, I love that. So the way you're kind of connecting with a future version of you that has that success by the sounds of it, and then you're doing everything you can to get there.
I am a big believer and user of visualization, manifestation, and this all connects with goal setting for mindset or the spirituality. Because when you start to understand the laws of the universe and how time
Yeah.
works and how physics works, all of these things, you can start to play with the laws and visualize your future self and draw
Mm.
in that timeline, draw in that reality into the present moment. And what so many people do wrong in this is they think law of attraction is wishing and hoping that they're gonna get there. But by doing that, you're only reaffirming the lack of it. But by
Mm.
being in a meditation and truly bringing that feeling into the present moment, and then coming out of that meditation and going about your day-to-day life, walking, being, and talking as if you have achieved that thing, the universe and your external surroundings start to reflect that. And of course, you've got to take action. It doesn't just turn up at your door. You take inspired action on your dreams and goals with the deep work of the visualizations. In collaboration, things
Mm.
start to happen. And sometimes that requires courage. Like I was saying for a while, I want to be an actor. Yeah, I'm going to become an actor. And then when I got like my first smallest unpaid student job where I was on set, I was like, I'm an actor. Right. From here on, I don't care who I'm talking to. Just say I'm an actor. Nobody's going to
Love it.
question.
Yeah.
Let me see your qualifications. Let me see your proof. No, just say it, be it, feel it, own it, and then momentum just is like boom, you're an actor, you said it. So imagine having the courage to do that in your life with some of the other things that you're apprehensive about.
Mm.
Sometimes requires belief inside, and then physically being and talking and doing.
Yeah, I think something you mentioned earlier about when I asked that, the question that's on my social media at the moment, who am I before thought tells me who I am. When you're being that person, that when you recognize that you have, when you're feeling like you're the one with everything, there's nothing that you're missing in that moment. There's nothing that you don't have. You truly are abundant in that, and free when you're experiencing that oneness. And I think that's often overlooked when it comes to law of attraction. You see most people's vision boards as a house by the beach with the red car outside. And they're focusing a lot on what they want materially. And yet, often what is ignored is what they could attract in regards to developing their own inner resources to be able to buy a house, to buy the car, whatever it is that they wanted. And in a way, it's we attract not what we want, but we attract what we are. So when we do the inner work, we can have what is quite a profound change in reality half the time. But it will always come back to us inside. And I think that's another mistake that a lot of people make with the law of attraction. They chase
Yeah,
the material side of things,
yeah,
hoping that will make them happy, but it won't.
yes, that is major. That is really big. I'll be happy when I get these things, and that's never gonna
So,
work. And like you said,
no, I'm
that
not
deep
happy now,
work
but
of
I will be.
connecting to, yeah, yeah, exactly. And often, like, of course, it's amazing to have these financial and material goals, but like you said, when you're in that deep space of presence and abundance, that is pure perfection in that moment, and you don't require anything.
Mm,
And the more you connect to that feeling, sometimes these other goals seem less important sometimes. Doesn't mean you don't still want them
yeah.
when you go about your waking life and everything, but you remember the feeling of actually, I've got everything that I need right here, right now, in the present moment.
Mm,
And that vibration, that frequency, that feeling, and that emotion is then what draws in those other aspects of your goals.
yeah, it's almost like it lights up reality around you. I don't think we realize what it changes and how it changes things. But I know from personal
Yeah.
experience that there's nothing I. It's really weird. There's nothing I have to really do. I know my people might sound odd to some people, but there's nothing I really have to do. When you're really one with yourself, there's a lots of things I'm enjoying doing and seeing what happens. But there's nothing I have to do. And when you take that pressure off of yourself, the element of creativity and energy that you now have room for is quite profound. And that's a great place to create from. A great place to create from.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a challenge I have at the moment is the pressure I put on myself,
Mm.
and I think it is truly only I've put on myself. Like, this doesn't feel like any external pressure. And sometimes that can drive me in a fantastic way. And other times I think it can limit my freedom and
Mm.
creativity as well. So you've highlighted something that I can work on for sure.
I don't know. I'm glad, this is what these conversations often inspire us in us. It's funny, isn't it? Even as a coach, and you must realize this, that when you're having a conversation, when we're saying things, often it's because we need to hear it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Always,
For sure.
always being reflected back at us.
Yeah.
Alex, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been nice to have. I'd love to go for longer, do more deeper dives into your mind. Um, where can people find out more about you and explore your fitness app? Because it's global.
Thank you.
People, thousands and thousands of people are obviously enjoying it. Where can they find out more about you?
Thank you. Um, yeah, you can find all my social media platforms under my name, Alex Crockford, and my fitness app is on the App Store and Google Play Store under either my name or Crockfit. And yeah, it's available worldwide. usually has a free trial or free period. But if you've got any questions, then just message me or email me, and I'll be happy to help guide you in the right way.
Absolutely brilliant. I'll put all, I don't know, I'm going to put all your details anyway in the show notes. So for anyone
Yeah,
listening to this thinking, how do I get to that? If you just scroll down on the app you're using, you'll see a little show notes with details of Alex's YouTube, his Instagram, and his CrockFit app website. Alex, been a very,
great.
so thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I hope you have an incredible rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was amazing talking with you, and I don't always get the opportunity to really speak freely. I don't do my own podcast. I don't talk too much about these things. So thank you so much for giving me a platform to talk about these topics and
Yeah.
for your fantastic questions. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Until next time.
Yeah, you're welcome. And for listeners, thank you so much for joining me on the Mindset Change podcast. Please share, subscribe, and leave me a review. It would be really appreciated. And I look forward to connecting with you in the very next episode. Have a wonderful, peaceful, and present day.